The K1 Max is easily my favourite helmet class printer, like it's not even a competition. I have larger printers, but the ease of use combined with the functionality this offers in a sleek, solid and sturdy frame, combined with its evolving platform, honestly makes this an easy pick for anybody looking to print models at this size. Is it perfect? No, it's got some quirks you should know about, but that's kind of the point of me doing a video. If you want the tweak version of this whole thing, then yeah, if you want a cheap and simple printer with a build area of 300mm cubed, get the K1 Max. Let's have a deeper look into it. So hi, I'm Ross and this is Fohammer Videos. Now I actually got a bit of crap from the community on my K1 review, so let me address that here quickly. It seems some people had issues with the original K1, and I'm sorry to say, I didn't. I can only review a printer from my own experience with it. And in my case, it was a solid no-nonsense printer that delivered decent quality prints without issue. It seems like the K1 is more a case of some get a good one, some get a bad one, and there was an issue with some of the early hot ends which have now been resolved and Creality have offered replacements for them. But once again for me, the K1 Max hasn't shown me any problems at all, and I'm so happy to say that. We have finally entered into that age of printers working out of the box, and that's fantastic. It means we can focus on what I feel are the more important elements of these products, the practical use features. And speaking of the out-of-box thing, unboxing this is easy, even for a large Core XY printer with a build area of 300 by 300 by 300. It's not the heaviest printer out there. And I'd put that in the win column for the overall build of this machine too, because the external dimensions are only 435 by 462 by 526mm. Basically what I'm saying is this is small enough to fit on most desks easily. Build quality is decent, it's got a full metal frame surrounded with an attractive bezel along with darkened glass and perspex panels. But again, not perfect. A couple of minor annoyances for me on the build include the filament spool holder, which yet again for one of these Core XY printers is on the back. This does my head in because you can't easily change filaments without either blindly fiddling, having access to the back at all times, or spinning this large unit around. Honestly though, as I've said before, whenever you get a printer with this type of spool holder location, just get a filament dryer box to run alongside it for much easier access. These also help to keep moisture out of your filaments too. When it comes to setup, it's super easy. Just unload all of the foam out of the printer and remove the securing bolts for the build plate. They are a bit fiddly to get to, but easy to see thanks to the big bright yellow stickers pointing at them. And if you miss this, it will tell you about them the first time you start up the printer as part of the out-of-box experience. Connect up your screen, attach the little door handle, and you're ready to go, just boot it up. And when you do, there are some settings to select which are pretty obvious, and you can connect the printer to Wi-Fi if you like, but in my case I just use the Ethernet port to connect it up to my local network instead. And you can also connect this printer to the Creality Cloud app, which is an absolute piece of garbage. Whilst this could be a useful app for the Creality platform, it's an unintuitive mess, more interested in a greedy FOMO push of their own storefront. Everything sold is in Creality coins rather than the actual price in local currency in order to mask its value. This is a marketing ploy we wisened up to and rebelled against back with the Microsoft Store points back on the Xbox 360. Creality didn't get the memo. I absolutely hate this app, and other than the function of checking in on my printer remotely or getting progress and error notifications from it, I don't want to even use it, and even those useful notifications are hidden amongst the deluge of constant offers you get from the platform. Here's a note, Creality, stop trying to push it with offers, just make it good, then people will use it. Then you can upsell them things. Anyway, back to the printer. The setup is completely automated, and I recommend before you turn it on the first time, put it in the place that the printer intends to live and attach the rubber vibration dampening feet, because the printer will go through an input shaping process which will detect vibrations that the printer causes and compensate for those on all prints, and it does this based on the location it's in. Basically what this does is allow the printer to give you much smoother walls on prints. Once this is done, the K1 Max will then fully auto-level itself with the help of the inbuilt LiDAR. And one thing I've never had an issue with in this printer is leveling. And that LiDAR is a really useful component. Much like the Bamboo X1 Carbon, which was the first printer I had to house such a module, this will be used in bed leveling, in detecting defects in your first layer, and it's also used for some extrusion measurements too by calibrating pressure advance. Now, as I wrongly inferred in my X1 Carbon review, this is not the same as flow rate, but the benefit here is sharper corners on your print and less stringiness. If you want more advice on what pressure advance is, check out this video I watched by Mike Abbott, and I'll put a link in the description below. Basically though, this LiDAR is a really good thing, and at least from a hardware perspective, it puts this printer along with the K1 in line with the Bamboo series of printers. But like I said in the K1 review, when it comes to software, Creality still have some work to do. I started with Creality Print as the profiles for the K1 Max in Orca Slicer were incredibly slow. Using a scan I made of my head, I sized up a Power Rangers helmet from Nico Industries and got to printing, and the whole print took less than 14 hours. Unfortunately though, I realised that whilst the helmet was the size of my head, the neck hole for the sculpt was smaller than my cranium, so there's no wearing it. Bummer. So I tried again with an Iron Man print, and this was also from Nico Industries. This was a much better size, though still with a small neck hole. The organic supports for this model did fail and caused a slight misprint right near the end of the process at the top of the head, and that's unfortunate. This though did give me the opportunity to test out the filament runout sensor too, as I ran out of red between the Power Rangers helmet and this one. So yeah, it works. It paused the print and it notified me on my phone. All I needed to do then was use the on-screen functions to remove the last of the filament reel, feed a new one in and tell it to resume. Nice and simple, just like it should be. Now, knowing I'd have better luck supporting a model in Orca because that just does a better job on its own and I don't fully understand FDM supports yet, I did a quick Google search and found a K1 Max profile on printables.com by user Ripley, and this, according to the description, closely matches the speed and quality profiles in Creality Slicer. So I just imported and supported my final model, which was a Space Marine helmet, and once again from Nico Industries. And I printed this in 1 day and 9 hours, and it's really thick too. This was actually made as a new office warming gift for the painting phase, so you may actually see it appear again if you watch the background of some of their videos. So print-wise, quality, really good, solid, no issues out the box, does big things really easy. But there were a couple of extra annoyances I had, and that was due to the lid and the fans. Now the lid is a flat glass plate, and it's recommended you remove this when printing PLA to avoid warping. Like in the K1, I ignored this, but I did notice when printing my Space Marine helmet, the front started to actually lift away from the support slightly. So I would take that advice and remove this when printing soft materials like PLA. But this does mean you need to find somewhere safe to put it, and it is glass, so don't knock it because it can break. Just like the door did on somebody else's review. But honestly, a quick Google search will find you any number of K1 Max lid riser modules that you can print yourself. Now, the problem with keeping the lid off though, is that when it's off, boy is this printer loud. Just like the K1 before it, it achieves nearly 70 decibels up close. And I assumed this was from the side-mounted part cooling fan, but it's actually the hot end fan causing all the noise. And this isn't mechanical whirring, it's airflow. So if you plan to be in the same room as this printer, then some headphones will really help just so you can concentrate on your work. I had to apologise for the background noise in more than a few meetings, and the printer was a good 2.5 meters away from me. And unless I closed the door to my office, I could still hear this from upstairs in my home. Now again, I'm saying that because it's there. These things may not bother you, and there's enough in this printer's plus column to at least consider it. And I still haven't talked about features like the integrated carbon filter, or the smooth flexible build plate which can be guided into place easily with 2 little notches at the back. Nor have I talked about the built-in camera, which was actually an upgrade feature of the K1, and this can be used for failure detection and creates time lapses of all your prints. These aren't the best quality time lapses, and you really should make sure to leave the printer's inbuilt light on if running prints overnight and you want a good time lapse out of it. You can't even make a smooth time lapse with a consistent hot end location for every layer. It's a small thing, but Creality, it's the difference between a sexy time lapse that people share and a janky one where you go, oh, that's cool. But still, it is a nice modern feature, and especially useful if you get a print failure so you can look back and see at what point something went wrong, like I saw when my supports failed on my Iron Man helmet. And one thing, and I don't know if this has been talked about in anybody else's review, but the one thing I really want to praise this printer for is that the floor of the printer is level with the bottom of the door, so you can easily scoop out loose bits of filament when things have gone awry. It's a small thing, but heck if it isn't just that little bit handy. Now, all in all, if you're looking for a printer like this, I mean this size, you're looking for it to print larger things. And I've just come off the back of the reviewing the Creality X Max 3 and said it's the best of the large format printers. Though, whilst that is a little bit larger in build area, it's also a little more expensive and a lot larger in terms of external dimensions. And I also feel that even through its general style, the X Max is geared more towards the engineering crowd, whereas this package is more for people like me who just want something that works, sits pretty, and prints. Now, Creality do have some work to do on their software side to catch up with the competition in terms of approach, because this is still no Bamboo Lab printer, but Bamboo still don't make a printer of this size, and just by running Orca Slicer instead of Creality Print, it comes damn close anyway. Now, when I say they've got software work to do, unfortunately Creality still aren't carrying much faith in the consumer market due to limited support of some of their previous models. But if they take the K1 range as seriously as the hardware deserves, they are easily on their way to being thought of as a top and trusted FDM brand once again. The whole experience of this printer for me has been incredibly positive, despite just a few quibbles, which, as I said, may or may not even matter to you. But if someone asked me what the best printer is to print helmets or equivalent size things right now, I'd easily say this one, and I'd sleep sound knowing that I'd given you a good recommendation. I want to say thanks for watching, and thanks to our members who are on screen now. Please click the like button if this video was helpful to you, even if it taught you not to get the printer. If this was valuable to you in some way, hit that like button so more people get to see the value from it too. If you really want to help, drop a comment down below, even if you just say comment or for the algorithm or you're great, Fauhammer. Whatever, you know, I'll take it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Huge thanks again to our members. Until the next one, see ya. Fauhammer out.